All right, welcome back.
We're live.
You're joining the Coach's Mike Corner. We have a new name for our broadcast.
Well, we
Same
have
great
some
guests.
youth on this show making us old farts look better, Mr. Cassidy. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, so before we get this started, let's do what we normally do, and let's have a little fun with some great pickleball.
And 9112.
You can feel yourself there, can't you, Cassidy? Like, I remember that shot.
I can't believe that this was this year.
Isn't that great? Just to be able to say, look how much play is coming. What a nice point. Look at this.
Quite the dink battle.
Look at that.
Nice save from Rob. Oh, pardon me, sir.
Look at that. You came all the way over there. Yeah.
Wow.
Good point. Did you win that match?
And,
We did win that match. We won that match. They are tough. Navratil and Althoff have been a rivaling team this year. It's been good.
No, they're at the top of the food chain. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, they're a great team for sure. I mean, Althoff, he might look older, but he's, 35, pushing it,
Isn't that funny? 35, he looks older. Oh, shit.
Well, if you haven't guessed, we have pro Rob Cassidy on with us tonight. Another great guest. And if you didn't notice that was the Cincinnati Open.
Right.
And I believe you got the silver medal. That was the game to get to the winner's bracket final, I believe.
Yes.
And I just found that point and I said, man, we got to see that. That was epic. We didn't have you throwing a trophy up in the air, but I love points like that and seeing great pickleball.
Yeah, the great players bring out the great points. So, yeah.
And, sometimes the winning point is anticlimactic anyway.
Yeah, the matches, are full. It doesn't matter if it's the first point, the last point, but, you got to stay in it the whole time and get it done. The flashiness might come earlier or later, but you got to keep your composure out there and make sure the job gets done.
Fantastic. Well, we got to start with Coach Mike's favorite question.
Yes,
Rob, and that is, how and when did pickleball find you?
How and when did pickleball start or find me?
Yes.
Well, that's actually an interesting story. When I was being created in a lab, they really they had pickleball in mind right from the beginning. No, I growing up in Rochester, New York, Greece specifically, I actually got really lucky because it happened to be in our school system.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was wonderful. Everyone was always having fun with it in class and whatnot.
Wait, so tell us, wooden paddles?
Oh yeah, yep, wooden paddles with the little straps around them to around your wrist so that they didn't go flying and stuff like that. So I started playing heavily when I was 23. So my first year home, coming out of college without having any physical activity to do, and I found pickleball, luckily. But my gym teacher, Dave Thomas, in 5th grade was already teaching the youth about this great game of pickleball.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you're not too many years out of 5th grade, Rob.
No, yeah, 7th grade was tough. 7th grade was tough.
I just hear that name, Dave Thomas, who was the owner of Wendy's.
Yep.
It was probably a different guy, though, I bet.
I'm sure.
I have no evidence going either way on that, but I know he was also a very avid disc golfer, and it was really cool to see him years later with a bunch of discs in his garage and still giving back to the game of pickleball, which I'm pretty sure he plays for the greatest reason, which is for fun.
That's great. So you played in New Jersey. Do you play tournaments in New York at all? Get back to your roots?
I used to. Rochester, New York specifically is pretty competitive in pickleball. If you ever get the chance to go up there, there's some really strong pickleball there. So that being said, you kind of had to travel to compete against the rest of the country, that level. You had to go find it. So I haven't been to too many tournaments in New York. If I do, I usually like to watch the brackets or maybe do some reffing as well. So
And I did see the APPs going to New York City next year.
Yeah, that's going to be a good venue. That's going to be a good one. You guys going?
I don't know.
Do you actually know where it is, Rob? The location?
I believe it's at where the U.S. Open occurs. Is that correct?
I don't know.
I don't know the specific street address, as New York City is about 4.5 hours away from me, but it's going to be a big one.
Wow.
Yeah, we had Ken on, but we didn't get into specifics on New York. But that's exciting.
We just heard New York. We didn't get geographically where it's going to be held.
Yeah. Ken Herman's doing big things. He's doing things right. It's nice to see.
Yeah, he is. He's a good guy. He's very committed.
So Rob, a few people have asked me. They know that you're now on the rules committee. Are you enjoying that? And are you the only pro on the committee?
I am enjoying it. It comes with a great deal of stress, I'd say. The main stressor for me is that I really enjoy being on the committee. As you know, it's before it wasn't my responsibility to have input. Now it is. But that being said, I have this new stress where I feel like I'm obligated to kind of inform the masses. I feel like there's a lot of misconstrusions going on as to the entire process in general. But to answer your other question, no, I'm on there with fellow pro Simone Jardine.
Oh, nice.
As well. So
beautiful.
Yeah. But,
your neighbor.
Yeah. It's hard to consider myself a Floridian when I'm in and out of the state so much, but
that's going to take you years. Your blood has to thin out. There's some time with that, Rob.
I think it's thinned some. That's for sure. I'm not allowed to be cold because I am from the north, but yeah.
Now, any exciting things coming for 2022 in the rules committee world?
Yeah, I would say that it's exciting in the fact that it's not going to be very exciting. There's nothing too crazy. I don't really know what was going on when they had 121 rule changes in 2020. But there were 71-ish rule requests or rule suggestions this year. And, contrary to popular belief, the USA Rules Committee doesn't make those suggestions. Those suggestions are from the general public during the allotted time. So that's from anybody who wanted to send them in. And then the USAPA or USA Pickleball works with the IFP, International Federation of Pickleball, to get some things done. And so we received the rules that, according to the IFP and their voting process, have a bigger weight to them. And then those rules get sent to us, where we vote on those rules that have those bigger weights. And I think there's a strong sense of maintaining the sanctity of the game on the USA Pickleball Rules Committee right now. So it was nice to be a part of those conversations where people really cared about the game and wanted it to stay course for where it's been and the great direction that it has been heading in and keeping it that way. So I don't really expect too many crazy changes besides, correcting some crazy decisions they made in 2021.
Sure.
Or 2020 rather.
So we won't see rally scoring next year, hopefully.
Well, I voiced my opinion on it and voted accordingly. It's crazy to even see it on there, but I'm very strongly against rally scoring. I feel it would change our game in a very big way. I
don't see the benefit of doing that. I just don't.
Put it this way. I believe I was in Chicago playing with AJ Kohler against Jay Didier and Adam Stone in what I believe was a winner's bracket final. And me and AJ Kohler, game one, we had it was an intense game, and the crowd was there having a great time watching us. And we went up, I believe, 9-1 in game one, only for Stone and Jay to figure some things out and make that game 9-8.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we ended up winning game one 10-8, and it was a nail biter, very intense, very good game. That opportunity for that comeback for them was very exciting to be a part of. I mean, let alone witness, but for me to be a part of. And, when we secured that game in that way, all I could think, and I even said it to the crowd, I said, tell that to rally scoring. You know what I mean? Because if rally scoring was implemented there, 9-1 and 2 side outs, that game's over.
Exactly.
That game's over. And that's a different game that, I think pickleball is a much better game than that, where it is now. So that's just one example as to why rally scoring certainly has no place in pickleball. At least I'm not convinced at this time. But so yeah, So that being said, another misconstruction about the USA Pickleball Rules Committee is that, what we say goes. What I've learned through the process, and I'm honored to be a part of it. It's been a great learning process as well. Is we don't have the end all say all. We take our votes and send them to the board, and the board ultimately makes the decision. So we have a very, very good-minded individuals on the rules committee right now, and we've had some incredible conversations. They usually last 2.5 hours average when we get together, but it's because the people care on that call, which is nice.
There's a lot of educated people, I'm sure, on that board. Is there any refs?
Oh yeah,
High-level refs? Good.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Good. Yeah, a handful of some of the best refs in the game, which is really nice.
Good.
So we submit our votes to the board, and then they make their decisions. So it is a scary thought that they could dismiss, perhaps what we've said entirely and still make pickleball rally scoring. But even before, I ever was even close to being part of any type of rules committee for pickleball, I have been saying for years that, I'll never let rally scoring become a part of our game.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
One good vote.
Woo! Let's go.
All right.
Moving on.
So tell us about this picture. This was obviously on the flyer for this week's show. This is Steve Taylor at his finest. Tell us where this was. I mean, this has got to be one of the best pictures in pickleball.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. And thank you, Steve Taylor, for always being there for us.
Flying across the court. It's one of the things he does very well. And he looks good doing it. That's important, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So tell the people that are looking at this, you've already hit the ball, correct?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Word on the street is that I never touched the court for the entire duration of the point for this one. Just floating around. That's a strong indicator of a 5-0 player if they're off the ground.
Fly across the court.
So this was a singles match in Rick Whitskin's tournament. He hosted this APP, and I was actually playing singles here in the first round of singles. Had a nice 3-game match against the infamous Big E, who's getting better and better every day. So it was good to see him out there, and we were battling it out. And I was able to pull out the victory. And I guess the biggest question we ask is, did I stay on my feet? And you can ask Steve, but yes, I did not go down this match. So.
Fantastic. Well, I love that picture. It's such a great picture.
Thank you.
Nicely done by Steve. So we talked a little bit about tournaments. So you're coming off a silver medal at the Texas Open.
Mm-hmm.
Some great matches out there. You won a tough match against Frazier and Yates, and then you beat Kohler and Wilson for the right to play Matt Wright and Ben Johns for the gold.
Slow down. Those names, for people that don't know, that are listening, those are very, very high-level players that Rob's making his way to get an opportunity to play the names that Jeff said last. I just want to throw it out there. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of eating right. It's a lot of working out. You just don't show up and say, oh, I got this. Am I far from the truth, Rob?
No, I wouldn't say you are far from the truth at all. The off-court discipline, you learn more and more is such an important factor in being successful on the court. So, we got good role models out there and fellow pros to attest to that have kind of shown me a way or the way in a lot of ways. So,
good.
Yeah, if it wasn't for pickleball, who knows what shape I'd be in.
There you go.
So you had a lot of adversity, whether, with the weather and a lot of things going on, and you guys still played really well. So let's talk about that for a minute. Do you like the 3 out of 5 format in the finals?
I didn't mind it. That was my first time being a part of the best of 5 format. And, the longer a point is, the better team is going to win. The longer a match is, the better team's going to win. So I definitely don't mind that showing that the better team's going to take it. I enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot of time for adjustments and whatnot. Ben picked the correct side, the better side. So they were on the better side for the most part of games 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, I mean, that was a great match against Ben. And I guess I'm jumping to the final real quick, but Ben Johns and Matt Wright, that was such a great final. I'm sure it looked pretty intense, but I'm telling you, I had a lot of fun being a part of that match. So it was great. That was my first PPA final, my first podium, my first money in the PPA event. So yeah, it was a big weekend. It was nice.
That's fantastic. Now, do you think a tournament would be better served to allow, maybe in your case, obviously you got the silver medal. If you had to go down, in this situation and not be able to come back, what do you think about that for somebody who loses early? They can only come back to bronze. What are your thoughts on that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's in my favor or not, I'm always in the favor of double elimination or the opportunity to come back. I love that. I mean, that's very pickleball, and I think it's pretty cool to have that one little mark, but still be able to come back and win the whole dang thing. Tyson McGuffin and Riley Newman were definitely capable of doing that, and it would have been great to play them. Maybe they deserve the silver more because according to this format, we didn't see them at all. So it would have been nice to, even more so. That would have made the silver maybe that much more special if we had to beat or had the opportunity to beat Tyson and Riley as well. So I'm very for the ability to come back, the double elimination format.
Good.
Yeah, there was a tournament. I think JW Johnson. We had JW's mother on last night, Julie. Last week, and she was amazing. But I think he lost a first round match. And then he battled all the way back, but all he could do was earn the bronze. And you think somebody like that, they play as much as that, they should have an opportunity to come back and win gold or silver.
Yeah. Well, like most things, there's pros and cons, I suppose in terms of preference or whatnot. But I wouldn't mind JW having that opportunity to take the whole thing as well.
Right. So you and Michelle, who we'll talk about in a minute, are new resident pros at the Naples Pickleball Center.
Yeah.
Here in Naples, Florida.
Yes,
so,
we are.
Jeff, just to tell a lot of people, a lot of the folks know it as East Naples Community Park. So for the folks that aren't in Florida and haven't gone long, the name has changed, which Jeff just said, to Naples Community. What is it? NCP?
Pickleball Center.
Naples Pickleball Center?
NPC.
Yes.
NPC.
Yeah, NPC. Yes.
So what's your vision for that? And for those that don't know, that's where the U.S. Open's played. What's your vision for your involvement, you and Michelle, and how often are you going to be able to get to East Naples Park and veterans with your busy schedule?
Nice. So, first of all, it's been pretty exciting teaching on the U.S. Open courts, on center court and on those courts. It's been so awesome. And there's so many courts and there's already this, thriving membership that's there. I mean, you go any given morning and there's this wonderful community of people playing pickleball and having fun and wanting to get better. So, our role is to come in and make that experience that much better. So, that means, providing opportunities to learn the game in new ways, to experience or witness high level pickleball with exhibitions and things like that. And, just continue to spread the game and have a little fun. So that's what we're doing. We got to teach this morning and we had 16 people just learning how to, we were redefining what makes a good dink this morning. And and as soon as we got done, they went off and played and they were grateful. And, and this entire experience, and Coach Mike, I'm sure you can attest to this, the most rewarding thing about teaching is, that positive response you get from your students as they move on and get better. So, just being a part of that is one of my favorite ways to give back to the game.
So funny you just brought that up. I'm going to tell you real quick. I got a text message earlier today. Mike, I did an Ernie today, and they're so excited. And a lot of these folks, as well as I do, Rob, what's an Ernie? What's an ATP? What does that mean? And then they realize I can do that.
Right.
You just have to have the right person show you the nice, easy steps to take. And then it becomes a part of their game. And then, you see them walking down the court, Mike, 2 ATPs today. I go, yeah. It's good. It makes them happy.
I love that, inspiring, and empowering people to go on. I'm going to share one with you. I'm going to pull it up right here, Coach Mike.
Yeah, please go.
One of my younger guys, I met him in Michigan. Just played with him for just a little bit, but we stayed in touch because he wanted to become a better player. He told me, he goes, "You're one of my favorite players, and I love how you play. You inspire me to become a better player. And today I played my best pickleball after watching you and Rob play. Good luck tomorrow."
Nice, right?
Yeah, that's the type of everything. Yeah, and that's just one. I mean, the amount of support, the amount of overwhelming support. I mean, I was just filled with gratitude, the amount of support I got going into that final this weekend. So
Good.
I don't know, it was much needed for me, and just to keep heading in the right direction and getting better. So yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, some people may not know, but I think you and Michelle Escoval are an item.
We're a
Would
thing.
would that
We
be
are
fair?
a thing. Yeah. She's in an an eyes in ear share. So be careful what you say, Jeff.
Well, we'll have to get her on one of these weeks, not too soon. She can clean up all the mess that you've made this tonight.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Just kidding. So how did you guys come together? Was it pickleball that brought you two together? Did you meet on the courts, or how did that all come up?
Yeah, we met through pickleball. We met in Centralia, Washington, or close to Seattle, through a mutual friend, Chris Miller, and
Mills, is that Chris?
Yeah, the legend himself.
Yes.
Yeah, that gunslinger. But we got to meet and we stayed in touch, and we hit it off. And every time we ran into each other, we kind of just picked up where we left off, and it's been great. It's been great.
That's fantastic. So I know you play together some, and you play with other mixed partners.
Yeah.
Is it? I know when you're together. I mean, a lot of people are together on the court, but with separate spouses or partners in life.
Right.
So how does that dynamic work for you, playing with her or playing with somebody else?
I mean, we make a great team. We're a pretty strong team. We've beaten a lot of big names. I don't need to go through the list, but we've beaten plenty of good teams. Michelle comes from the tennis world, whereas I come from the non-tennis background. So sometimes we're reading out of different books. It's tough to be on the same page in terms of what we should be doing on the court. Sometimes she'll be like, "Why'd you do that? That didn't make any sense." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it worked." But no, she's an incredible player. I don't mind seeing her successful with other players. The last thing I want to do is play against her. The easiest way to avoid that is being on the same side of the net. But
there you go, smart man.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's been really fun. Watching each other play and getting better as well. So
that's fantastic.
Good job.
So what do you guys or you like to do when you're not playing pickleball?
I don't understand the question.
There you go. Next question. I like
no,
it.
it's yeah. I mean, I like to joke with my students. If somebody doesn't have I love when I run into the student that has zero sports background. I'm like, oh, perfect, because I have a couch potato background as well. So, I'm pretty well versed with the couch and the remote control, if you will.
Or the other side is no bad habits coming on the court.
Oh, there you go. You go. But no, I like movies a lot, and I like to watch movies. Like some would read books. I don't think I read enough books. I know I don't read enough books. I don't read books, but I like watching movies. I'm definitely a gamer. I like playing video games. I played a lot of video games growing up. So I was an athlete, on the field and, with the controller as well. So, I like playing cards. Sleep is good.
Sport that you might have played more than another? Baseball, football, soccer, tennis. Which one did you play more of?
Yeah, I played all of those except for tennis in high school that you just mentioned. I was also a wrestler. Shout out to Tyson McGuffin. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, wrestling was probably the most influential sport on me. I mean, there was no practice that was harder than that. Instilled a lot of values.
I don't remember any sport that used more parts of your body at the same time than wrestling.
Yeah. I never left the practice more drenched than it was with wrestling.
Yeah, every inch of your body's white. When you're grappling and you're using every inch of your body just to not get choked out, it was some of the best years.
So does Xbox or any of those, do they have pickleball yet?
No.
Not yet, man. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll make that happen for sure. Yeah. And, wrestling, I met my favorite coach of all time, Lou Lombardo, who just, to put it short, showed me the way. Incredible man. So I have a lot to thank to him for that as well.
That's fantastic. So you played, I think at last count, about 19 tournaments. How do you, stay in shape off the court? We touched on that a little bit, but you play some of the best in the game, or the best in the game, week in and week out. Do you have a workout routine off the court? Obviously, there's some choices in the kitchen that you have to make and that sort of thing. So, what does that look like for you?
I would say in that department, there's some room for improvement for me in terms of a routine or regimen of getting to the gym or going on those runs and whatnot. Right now, my routine is if someone asks me to the gym, I say yes. If someone asks me to go to the gym, I'm saying yes. Someone asks me to work out, I say yes. So there's that. There's a decent amount of being disciplined with stretching that goes into this crazy game. And you can't forget to put those hours into recovery as much as you want to go out there and play and drill and get better. So it's been a lot of tournaments this year. It's been insane. It feels like the Super Bowl's every other Sunday. So,
Hey, Rob, do you feel you have a good amount of training partners in the area that you're in now to work out? Not just Michelle, for another guy. There's a good amount of strong players out where you are.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we got a good mix up of guys and girls. It's great. There's no better practice than, at the tournaments, but yeah, we got a handful of good people where we can get a good foursome together to play some good practice.
Good deal.
So you and Rob Nunnery play together pretty much almost exclusively, I'd say, right?
This year we decided to, yeah. We met up, what was it, 2019, 2020? Early, and we were like, "Hey, man, you're pretty good." Like, yeah, you too. I'm like, do you have a partner? It's like, no, man.
He's not kidding. It's probably just like that.
Let's commit to this. I was just just on the outer edge of the elite players, and Rob Nunnery was just coming on the scene, and I needed someone who could back me up, and Rob has done more than that for me. So we make a great team. I love when other people tell it. I want people to tell Rob Nunnery more. I'd hate to lose him to somebody else, but things happen. There's other great players out there, and there's other good combinations to test out and try and be successful with. I wish all the best to Rob Nunnery, no matter what. Hopefully I'm on the same side of the court with him when that occurs.
Fantastic. Now, where is he based? Where does he live?
He's in Austin now.
Okay.
Doing big things with Dreamland, the Dreamland facility.
Oh yeah.
Which where the Hall of Fame tournament's coming up in a couple weeks, I believe.
Oh, cool.
We got the little fundraiser for the
now.
Hall
Do you
of Fame.
guys get a chance to play outside of competitive matches? Do you get in a day before and play a little bit, or how does that all?
That's the best way to do it.
Happen.
It's important to get there perhaps a day earlier and acclimate to whatever the conditions may be, the altitude, humidity, dryness, sun, courts. Yeah.
Sure.
So all of that, it's, maybe your paddle's different that day. You gotta, maybe it's windy, maybe it's not windy. Getting there early is definitely a success contributing factor for sure.
Fantastic. Well, I have an open story, and I'm going to start with another story first. So I picked this game up about 2.5 years ago. So I played in 19, went back to Maine to put our house on the market and do a number of things. And this female that I met said, "Hey, do you want to play in the Open?" And even living here in Naples, I'm like, "Yeah, what's the Open?"
Right.
So we signed up, I guess, I don't know, January of 20, and then didn't happen for 16 months. So kind of crazy how that all went out. So I got to experience my first Open this year, because obviously it didn't happen last year. And I think one of the best matches I saw, Rob, was you and Rob Nunnery. It was like the 3-5 courts, maybe 26 or one of them. And I believe you were playing Tyson and Riley Newman. And it was just an epic battle. I think you guys went down, but it was an amazing match to watch.
Nice. So you're talking men's pro this year at the U.S. Open?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it was a loser's bracket, game to 15.
Yeah, there's only about 3 or 4 teams left. We were kind of fighting for bronze there, and to that type of format. And yeah, we had to play against Big Bad Tyson and Riley Newman. We showed up. We were ready. I think we basically had it. In all honesty, for a good portion of more than the first half of the match. They settled in well, but that was a nice heated match for sure. Riley Newman's one of the players that brings out the best in me. He's a great player. They both are, but Yeah, it's a mental game as well. You got to keep that composure, like we said earlier, to get that job done. So, all this physical training and discipline we have to do, we also got to show up mentally to get the job done correctly. Sometimes you don't get to get it done the way you want to. You got to get it done the way that you have to.
Right. Well, I think the rest of the story is you lost early to Adam Stone and Deco Bar, and then you won 5 straight. So there weren't, like you say, that I think there were a handful of teams left, and you start with 30 of the best pro teams in the world, and you're down with the final few.
Yeah, that match against Deco Bar and Adam Stone haunted me for a while. We got obliterated by them. I don't know. It's
when you think back now, Rob, when you say you got obliterated, can you picture these same kind of shots kept happening that we weren't seeing or weren't ready for? Was one person just playing so much stronger than the other person? If you were to tell somebody, we probably would have gone back a second time and played them different. What do you think about that match? Because I know you remember it.
So, in our first match, the sideline was mine, very much so. And those patterns that I got very comfortable with in our successful first match of the day, those patterns carried over into our second match, where the sideline against Deco Bar was very much not mine. His Ernie was, that entire tournament, he was doing some of the best Ernies this game has ever seen. And, he was doing them right in front of my face, whooping my ass.
Okay.
So Deco Bar was the biggest I've ever seen him, and he was slaughtering me on the sideline repeatedly. Just one example, he's straddling that center line. So I'm like, oh, I can go down his sideline now. No, he Ernied it. So
it's your amazing shot that's coming up in the air. He's coming across to get it.
Yeah, he's jumping the corner of the kitchen line to take that ball out of the air legally and cutting it off and punishing me with it. So
years ago, no one did that. It just wasn't happening.
Right.
It helps to be what, 6'6", 6'7"?
He's at least 8'6". I wouldn't put it nothing under 8 foot tall. As Morgan Evans would put it, he's an Israeli demigod. But yeah.
That's funny.
But I honestly, that was a very tough loss for us, especially because, I set on gold that day. But that match in itself made me a better player. So I definitely have Deco to thank for that. Yeah.
That's great.
You learned from it. That's awesome.
And now, you can roll out of bed and drive 15 minutes to the US Open, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I only practice on that very court where that occurred. So
that's funny. So Rob, tell us what's one of your favorite moments on the pickleball court and why?
Wow. Let me see.
It doesn't have to be. I know you have lots of them, but you're so young. Just pick one.
There's the go-to, but I'm trying to think more than that. One of my favorite moments on the court.
Or a favorite place on a court.
Let's see here. I always go back to when me and Chris Miller won the Indoor International in 2017 against Matt Goebel and Tyson McGuffin. We beat him. We beat him in game 3, 11-1 or something like that. And I was just we just went hard. I took over, and indoor, it was nice. I'm on the other side of the country, and it felt like I was, I had home field advantage. Like the community there at the Indoor International is top notch. I missed that tournament. Getting that one with Chris Miller in the open division was, that was one of the greatest. Only to be recently topped by this final that I had, this weekend. Honestly, that Texas Open court with those fans, you could feel them on the edge of their seat, whether they're rooting for the other team or us, they were just all in on this exciting match. And I don't know, just being a part of that is always something special.
So let's go back to the first one for a minute. There were probably a lot of people watching our show that weren't even playing the game in 2017. So set that up for us. Where was it? Did you have as competitive a field as you do, these days? And
yeah, so this was, during the change of the guard, I guess. Like Chris Miller is still a contender. Enrique Ruiz was in our bracket.
Wow.
McGuffin was a little newer. Wes Gabrielson's present. Brian Ashworth. And it's an indoor tournament. And indoor tournaments have in a very unfortunate way, kind of phased out a little bit in terms of competitive or the pro tours. You don't see a single indoor, but I love indoor basketball surface with the temp net. That's a fun game with an indoor ball. The white jugs ball, to be specific, is in my opinion.
You're making it worse.
You don't know what a real white jugs ball is.
I do.
Basically,
I give them away. If I get them by mistake, I give them away.
Well, the thing is with the white jugs ball, you've most likely any white jugs ball you've ever encountered, Coach Mike, is at least 3 years old.
Right.
Because they don't crack. So they're probably mush. But
I have to stop you for a second.
Okay.
I have Duras, the original Duras.
Oh, yeah.
They're 4 years old and they still play well.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Oh, man. They were just hard and crispy and they just lasted, unlike the new ones.
That's nice. Yeah, I hear you on that, Coach.
So where was this tournament, Rob? What city? What
state? It was in Encinitas, sorry, not Encinitas, Centralia, Washington, which is, a little bit, I believe, north of Kent or Seattle, Washington. So
not far from Seattle. Yeah, we'd fly into Seattle to go there.
Yeah, it's the Northeast, the Northwest. Excuse me, it's the Northwest. Where pickleball, began, and it's just got its own pickleball culture, and it was great. It's a similar latitude to Rochester, and I love it up there. That tournament is like a festival. The Indoor International Championship ran by Mioke and Ken. It's top notch. And, we still had Melissa McCurley there and Dee Davidson running it perfectly. And, these beautiful courts and some footage. This was before footage, I mean, you thought that picture was good. We've been doing crazy things before they've been even capturing it. You know what I mean?
So Rob, those courts have the basketball lines and the volleyball lines and the pickleball lines?
The courts that the pros were fortunate enough to play on were not highways, fortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean, right?
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
It's challenging.
Yeah. It's fun. Fun stuff.
It's a different game indoors on that surface, 100%.
Now, is it at the same place you met Michelle?
The same tournament. I think it was a year later.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess you got two great reasons for being at that tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where do you see this sport? I mean, you're still a young guy, but where do you see the sport going over the next 5 or 10 years? How big can the sport get, Rob?
Oh, I mean, I hope I'm one of the 4 players that get to play on Mars. One of the first 4 players to play on Mars. Because what I'm saying is there's really no limit for how big this game's going to get.
Oh, right.
You can expect in the next 5 years or 5 to 10 years how you can expect the international explosion to occur because yes, this is an American sport, but the rest of the world is going to love this as well. And that's already beginning.
Oh, it started. Oh, yeah. You
have strong ambassadors, the IFP in one regard. Important players like Seymour Rifkin, who's head of the IPTPA. Doing things right to spread the game to those other countries. And this is only the beginning. Pros like myself, Matt Wright, he's I don't mean to say it he's in his 40s and he's still a top player, and he's still going to be very relevant for years to come. Players like Tyson McGuffin, who's the same age as myself. We are key players in this game right now. But we're just paving the way. We're not the destination by any means, but we're paving the way for those new players to come and step up and take the reins and continue to move it forward. And JW Johnson and Dylan Frazier,
future of
Aiden
pickleball,
Nemeth, those guys, those little gentlemen are going to take this game forthright for sure.
Sure,
absolutely. Well, you talked about the International Federation and the sport growing international. It looks like Ken is taking a couple tournaments to Mexico and then to Europe. Yeah. Are you going to be a part of some of those events?
I hope so. I want to be. Pickleball is the reason why I got my passport. You know what I mean? I've seen more of this country thanks to pickleball than I ever really even fathomed that I would do. Been to Hawaii twice thanks to pickleball, and that changed my life for the better. And so I've been to Mexico and Canada, but I intend very much so. I think it's important to get out and experience other nations and other countries for sure.
Imagine this: you're, what you say, 7th grade. You're playing pickleball indoors. Maybe you're 12, 13, maybe 14 years old.
Yeah.
And the guy comes up to you and says, "Listen, this is going to be the biggest sport in the world when you're in your 30s, and you'd look at him and say, man, what are you smoking? You kidding me? This is just a fun little game. But look how it did change your life, Rob. This is your life now. Pickleball is your life.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know,
I mean, you got Michelle part of your life. I mean, it's a big deal. It's not just, it just happened. These things are happening, and more people are getting so many benefits from this sport, the health wise, the relationship wise. I mean, I can give you a list of 4 guys I met a year ago. They were a little heavy, a little depressed, watching TV 12 hours a day, unhappy because for whatever reason, we got them on the courts. They're losing weight. They're not drinking. No more TV. Oh, and by the way, they met some lady, Michelle, at the courts, and they're just so much happier, and life's so much greater now because of this sport. It's much more than a sport. I just think it's changing the lives of lots and lots of people, and not just older people. I have a guy, coach, he's 82. You should see his ground strokes, and he's a 4 handicap golfer. I want to be that guy at 82.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
It's a game for everybody, you know. It's a generational bridge. And, you know, there's not a person out there that you don't run into that either themselves or know somebody where pickleball's changed their life for the better. So that's why we like to share it. That's why it's so important to get this game out there.
Absolutely.
Well, Rob Cassidy, it has been my pleasure and Coach Mike's pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Rob, very much. I'll see you. I'm coming over to the West Coast, and I'm going to hopefully get on, play a little bit. You know, it's so funny. I got to tell you a quick story. He won't remember me, but my first time at the U.S. Open, there wasn't a lot of places to take pictures. And right by the sidewalk, when you walk out, they put these little pedestals right here with a picture in the back. And Rob was there. And all the girls are around Rob. And he's got like 6 girls around. It was like, who is this movie star? But I didn't really know who he was. And he surely didn't know me. And those days, Clara Grabber and I were winning medals in, you know, the senior division. And it's going like this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's no going back.
There's
no going back.
Yeah, you're a trailblazer, Rob. We like you, man. You're a good guy. You're doing good things. Appreciate all your help.
No, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Rob. We'll see you on the courts, and we'll see you in Hilton Head.
All right, guys.
All right, be safe. Say hi to Michelle for us. Thank you, Rob.
Will do.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Have a good night. All right. I guess Coach Mike has left us. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll have another great show next week, and enjoy all the past broadcasts from Coach Mike's Corner.